Once we've adopted these standards of behavior and conduct, we're committed to honor them. And if we don't, then there can be no disciplined activity.
If you're not hungry, if you're not willing, if you don't have the grit, if you don't have the tenacity, then you're not going to get what you're looking for.
I have to be truthful to myself. You have to be truthful to yourself. You have to stop rationalizing, stop making excuses, stop telling yourself little watered down assessments of where you're really at. Tell yourself the truth.
If you live very long at all of your youthful idealism gives way to the harsh realities of life itself. When you were a teenager, you thought you knew everything music, but when you got to put everything in practice, you found out it wasn't as easy as you thought it was. Life has a way of making you close your mouth. Life will mute you, shut you down. Because all of us, if you live long enough, will go through a period of feeling so overwhelmed that you think of one more thing if the phone rings, one more time if I get another text, if I get another email. Sometimes I question technology. I appreciate all the advances, but I don't need another way for anybody to be able to access me.
We find ourselves announcing our standards to our relatives, our friends, our associates. We shout our beliefs and condemn those who believe any differently, but then we don't walk the talk. We end up acting in a way far different from the beliefs we've shouted. We tell our kids that the TV is rotting their minds, yet we spend our evenings in front of it. We tell our employees that they must take advantage of every minute of the working day, yet we spend 3 hours at lunch. Do as I say, not as I do. This is inconsistent. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us. And more importantly, this leads to a loss of credibility within ourselves.
I want you to recognize that it takes work. It takes sacrifice. It takes understanding. It takes will. It takes determination. This is that time right now to get it. Push that last rep. Push with everything you got. Tell excuses to step aside. Let weakness know that it is not welcome in your house. And go after what it is that you are seeking. Because the opportunities are yours. Go get it. Go get it now. And give it everything you got. Be productive. Be powerful. And from the bottom of my heart, conduct your business.
The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all. These people seem to wander aimlessly, changing procedures, changing standards, changing loyalties, and shifting frequently from one commitment to another, leaving behind a trail of broken friendships, unfinished projects, and unfulfilled promises, all because of a discipline that was either non-existent or imposed so infrequently that it was ineffective. Here's the third step to becoming consistently self-disciplined. Number one is realizing that discipline isn't the easiest option. Number two, discipline is a full-time activity, day by day, every day. And the third step to becoming self-disciplined is really a philosophy that holds one of life's unique promises.
You want a shortcut. You want to go the easy route. That's what you're looking for, right? That's what you're thriving for, right? It's not how it works in the real world. There are no easy days. Why would you want easy? Why do you want to just take the short route? How many times have you parked your car at your local grocery store and you wanted to get closer to the door instead of parking far away from the door? That is an opportunity right there to test yourself and say, why not walk a little bit further? You're probably thinking, why should I? Because it's convenient for me to be closer to the door. Convenience is not always the best policy. It's not the best way to go about things in your life. Everything should not be given to you. Instead, you should earn it.
You've lost again and again. Again, the lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day, and say to yourself, it's not over until. If you want to make your dream become reality, the people that are running at their dreams know that it's possible. That you can live your dream, that it's necessary, that you're relentless, that you have a plan of action, that you are creative. The people that are living their dream of finding winners to attach themselves to the people that are living their dreams of a people that know that it's going to happen, it's up to them, and they're resolving within themselves, it's not over until I win. Listen to me very closely. Winners win and losers lose, and there are those of you out there, you lose it and you don't. deserve to lose. You put in the work, you work hard, and you blooms.
So that you can get where you want to go. You can be who you want to be. You can be who you should be. Who you should be when you do what you know you should do. When you pay attention to the little things. When you implement discipline. True and unflinching and unmitigated discipline in your life. When you stop trying to find a sweatless solution. When you look for weaknesses to work on, when you allow no easy excuses. And all that starts when you stop lying to yourself.
Given equally to every human being, time is therefore the only commodity every human possesses. We don't possess the same amount of money. We possess the same amount of time. So the key to life is what you become in life is determined by how you use the time you have. And that's why we use terms like spending time. Time is a currency. Every human has the same amount every day. And time, like currency, must be spent. And here's the problem. Time is used to buy life. So whatever you are, you spend your time buying it. Time is so powerful that whatever you invest your time in, you become. Write this down. Time can be what? Abused. Time can also be lost. You can lose it, just like money. Time can be squandered, just like money. You could spend an entire day. Have you ever said this? I don't know where the day gone.
I mean, you do me a favor. This is me here to turn that around. The people that are running after that dream know they're going to have hard times. They keep on running because they're saying within themselves, I'm the one no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. The people that are running after their dreams are the people that are hungry. Listen to me very closely. Somewhere you are broke, listen to me, you flat out broke, right? You ain't got gas money. And we're not just talking about money, you've broken your relationships. You've broken your health and you not work because you have to be right. And I'm telling you, your whole life is going to change.
When you stop lying to yourself, that's when you can become who you know you should be. When you tell yourself the truth about where you are so you can make sure you are in the right place. And if you're not in the right place, that you can get yourself on the path to get there. Path of discipline, the path of hard work, and the path of truth.
Most people, their associations are to avoid anything that's uncomfortable. But it's so illogical. Because when you look at comfort, a lot of those are connected to discomfort. Like discomfort is your friend. It really is. Like discomfort, not being happy and content with certain situations in life, certain feelings in life. They're massive motivators and they're amazing at facilitating change. Well, when I was 21 and I was first starting to do comedy, that's when I was really devouring as much of it as possible because I was trying to figure out like how to not be so lazy.
Yeah, I know it. That's right. Why? You squandered it. It didn't take you closer to your goals, didn't take you closer to your vision, didn't accomplish the things you wanted, and you spent it and squandered it on stuff that didn't count. Time is more important than money. That's why the businessman say time is. Can I put it another way? Write this down. Time can be depreciated just like money. Time can also be devalued. Every hour is important. My question is, what are you spending it on? You can reduce the value of your life by the things you spend your time with, who you spend your time with, where you spend your time all day. You can devalue your time. I'm a victim of time. Write this down, please. You can never stop time. You can also never control it. You can't resist it. You can't never compromise with time.
If you would get off the couch, stop playing video game, having a good time, you've got to have the strength of character to concentrate to read the guide. Just information, you've got to learn how to become resourceful. You've got to learn how to become creative like thrill. You broke at you. Will you grow by complaining? I'm going to a job you don't like. You are broke. This is them. You go on to a job you'll like. You've been there 15, 20 years and put on the job. I'm not even saying you should quit your job, but I'm saying that after you get off work, just like you, invested ever you need to invest in yourself. And the problem is simple. You're not investing in your idea, that you're always looking for a way to get over.
When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled, educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. I don't have any college training, but I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student And when he came in, he said to me, young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you. And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, it doesn't matter. Follow my directions now. I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, because I'm educable mentally retarded. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
Thank you so much for watching our video. Please also share your thoughts in the comments. We will see you soon.
Breaking up. Saying goodbye to the person you were once close with and deeply in love with. We've all been there, and we all know how that feels. We've all had our hearts broken. When it happens to you personally, it's devastating. And while people can relate, they aren't in that moment. The pain is there, and it's real for you. Sometimes it feels like you're completely helpless, and you'll never get past the suffering. Sometimes the ones we truly love leave. We're left feeling like we can't live without them. It feels like they took our whole life with them. Your favorite coffee loses flavor. The scenic walk we used to take makes us feel lost. Our beds feel cold. Our food tastes bland. And our clothes don't fit. And our heads feel disconnected from our body. If I just described how you were feeling, that proves that you are not alone in this situation, even if it was just one of those things that upset you. You don't want someone to be like you, because for once in your life, you're able to feel something, even if it's pain, and you don't want anyone to come into your life to help you or understand you because you just lost that. So even if these thoughts are painful, you're able to feel it. You are processing this breakup as the worst thing that could have ever happened to you. But if you're able to feel it, actually feel who you are, then maybe it was the best thing to happen. Someone leaving your life always sucks in that moment, but down the line, it all starts to make sense. Throw anything away that reminds you of the past. It's not easy to do, but trust me, it will lighten up your load. If you can't let go of keepsakes, it means you're still holding on. And if you know it's pointless to hold on, then be brave enough to burn all the false hopes. Memories can never bring back what's gone. So why does this hurt? Breakups hurt so much because you envisioned your entire life with someone else to the point where you've lost who you are without them. This is usually why couples tend to distance themselves, because one partner loses who they are and they become dependent on the other, and once that weight becomes too heavy, someone has to break. So you might think that you hate this person for breaking your heart, but a lot of times it comes down to the feeling of letting yourself down. So let the fantasy person remember that she or he is not the perfect person that you built in your mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this situation right now. And then move on. Because the fantasies don't exist. The perfect girl or guy for you doesn't exist. So you're gonna look out for someone that's good, but you're not gonna find perfect. Don't get obsessed with finding perfect. If you find someone that's perfect, that's not true. Everyone's got their flaws. You should know that you need time to heal. Oftentimes, we try to run to the next thing and the next thing and get away from the problem by distracting ourselves with the next thing. And oftentimes, we try to run to the next relationship because we were hurt by the past one. But when we are hurt, we don't give ourselves time to heal, only deepen the wound even more and more. I think of it almost as a cut on your body. When you cut yourself and you keep touching it and allowing it to be exposed to danger, you slow down the healing process. But when you allow time for it to grow and heal, you find that you're better much faster. I think it's the same mentally as well. We'll probably all struggle with something in our mind and at some point in our lives, and we try to distract ourselves with things from the actual problem. But that only goes so far. Give yourself time though. Take breaks sometimes. just sit and be alone for a while. It's a hard thing to understand, and it's a hard thing to try to process by yourself because it hurts. Like the feeling when you first get a cut and you put alcohol in it, or put something under it to clean it. It burns a little bit, but after a while, it leaves you better than you would have been without it. We must understand that everything has its cycle, and if a person has already fulfilled theirs with us, we must respect their decision and move on in life. Because nothing ends because a person is missing, because we have the ability to be happy of our own account without asking anyone for anything. You just have to have the faith that everything will be fine in the hands of God.
If people are not listening to you, stop talking to them. That is the best piece of advice that I can give you. And what happens is that if you stop talking to people who aren't listening to you and start watching them instead, they will tell you what they're up to. But so if you have things to say them, but you find people that will listen, talk to them. The ones who aren't listening, pull back. Because you're devaluing what you have to say by offering it to an audience that does nothing but reject it.
And you spend a lot of time going around trying to convince other people or trying to get their approval. What will happen is that you will lose your nerve. And other people will convince you that what you're doing doesn't have any value.
There are certain things that we just go through life just taking, and at some point, you just got to draw the line and just say enough is enough. You got to do that with yourself. You just got to draw. There's certain things that you just don't permit. If you got negative people in your life, just one. So look here. I was talking to someone I love very much, had a just dynamic relationship with us. Look here. I can't grow from that. If you're persistent in saying those kind of things to me, I'm saying to you right now, I won't tolerate that. And I will terminate this because I'm not going to expose myself to this type of humiliation. I don't like that. I don't like getting called names and putting each other down. I don't like that. Come back, tell me I'm sorry. No, that won't get it. So you put a nail in a hole, you make that impression, you pull a nail out, that mark is still there. That's not for God. We can't extract that from the record. So don't say that to me. So we were talking about something else. Person said it again. Boom. You're a loser. Very good. And you are too, because you just lost a very good friend. I don't choose to be around you anymore. And that was it. I said, that's cold. Maybe it is. But I get people out of my life that aren't good for me. One negative stroke is 16 times more powerful than a positive stroke. And if you have people around you who are not sensitive to who you are, and the people that can hurt you the most, ladies and gentlemen, are the people that you love. That you love. They're the ones that you're vulnerable to. They're the ones that can get to you. And if they're insensitive, I don't care who they are. See, if you don't draw the line with people, if you just let them run rampant in your life, and you let things happen to you that you don't feel good about, if you continue to allow it to happen, you won't feel good about yourself. Your image of yourself will erode. So you've got to draw the line. That old White said something. To go against the dominant thinking of your family, friends, and those people you associate with every day is perhaps the most difficult act of courage you will ever perform. See, when you start growing, when you start changing the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you act, the way you respond to things, the way you use your time, when you start saying, no, I can't do that. Why? You're too busy. You don't have the time. No, I have my own agenda.
You also have to be strong enough to say no. Remember, you teach people how to treat you, and they will walk all over you if you let them. So when you love yourself enough to say no, when they ask you to do certain things that are not in your character, you quickly will say no. I'm not doing that. Because I know if I allow myself to go there, I'm going to be the one that's hurt. I'm going to be the one that's broken. I'm going to be the one that's battered and bruised. So absolutely not. And I've said this many times before. Some of you guys are weak and you're quick to say yes. Love yourself enough to say no.
You got to have a good, strong, solid no muscle that you can stand in, and you got to have a yes muscle. You got to say no to the things that don't honor you, no to the things that don't bring you joy, no to the things that don't bring you peace, and you don't have to explain your no. You got to have 101 different ways to say no. You matter, and your no matters, and don't back up on your no. Don't draw your line in the sand, and when somebody crosses it, you back up and draw another line. No, stand on your line. Stand for your no.
If people can put you on a guilt trip, they will. And use you and abuse you over and over and over again. You got to draw the line. You have to draw the line on them.
I think it's really important in any relationship that you ask yourself this question: what is my cost for being in this relationship? Because there's a cost. In every relationship you're in, there's a cost. And you have to ask yourself, what is the cost of being in there? If the cost is you have to lose yourself, you can't be who you are, do what you do, you can't be the person you are because you must conform to them in order to coexist peacefully, the cost is you. If the cost is you have to work at it, that's okay. The cost is you have to make some sacrifices, that's okay. But ask yourself in every relationship you're in, what's the cost for being in this relationship? And you'll see real quick whether it's worth the price or whether it's not.
Basically, what you're saying is, if you got haters around you, in your family or not, you got to get them out of your wagon.
Have you ever taken an idea to a person, or no matter what you take to them, it's not a good idea?
Right.
It's just something wrong. You know, when I share an idea with you, and you don't show me how to make that idea work, all your conversation is why it won't work, yeah. I immediately end that conversation. I'm not interested in why it won't work. That's going to arise on the journey. I just need to know, can you feel what I'm saying? Are you on board with it? Do you have a suggestion how to make it work? The moment I hear, well, you know, I don't think that'll work. Okay, cool, thank you. And I'm gone.
You know, one of the things that Maya Angelou used to always say to me, and I love this, I actually said it at her memorial service. She used to say to me, because in the beginning, it used to bother me so much when people would talk about the haters. And she used to say to me, baby, those people can't hold the candle to the light that God already has shining on your face.
Yeah.
Can't you see the light that God has shining on your face? And so I learned to focus on the light that God has shining on my face and not worry about the people who are trying to put up a candle and burn it.
Don't go through life feeling like you're powerless. Victims are people that are powerless. You're not powerless. You are powerful. You direct the power in your life. Whatever your life is right now, it is a duplication of your consciousness. It's a result of how you have decided to use your power. That's all it is. That's not who you are. That's just a perverted use of your power that you aren't satisfied with. And you've got the power to change that. Wherever you are, how, I don't know. But I know you've got the power to do that. But you don't know what has happened to me. It really doesn't matter what has happened to you. See, the only thing that really matters is, what are you going to do about it? That's all that matters. That's all that matters. You can allow it to destroy you, or you can allow it to build you up.
You think you bad? How bad do you really think you are? Are you really bad enough to know what it is that you want? Are you bad enough to go through the challenges in life? Or are you just someone that like to fake the funk? Pretending to be something that you're not? How bad do you really want it? Do you understand what that means? Do you understand how aggressive you gotta be? Do you understand even when you're aggressive, you still gotta have patience? Do you really understand the work that has to be applied to it? Because you can want all day long, but if you don't apply action to it, then how can you achieve? How can you achieve the greatness that's within you? How bad do you really want it? Do you want what's coming? Or do you even understand what's coming? Can you even comprehend it? A lot of people ain't ready for it. Maybe you're not ready for it.
Maybe you're not understanding exactly what it's going to really take to get to that point in your life where you can accept the fact that, hey, this is it. I got to put that work in. I got to apply myself. How bad do you want it? That's all you ever talked about. It's all you ever dreamed about. All you did was wait around, hoping that someone was just going to hand you the keys to the city. No one is just going to hand you over their keys and expect you to drive. In fact, you don't even have a license to understand what it means to get what it is you really want. So if you're not in the mindset, if you're not prepared, if you're not willing, if you're not able, you can forget about it.
You don't have to have a complicated idea to make a difference in your life. What you need are ideas that you apply.
Most of us go through life sleepwalking, never really discovering our true potential, never enjoying life to its full extent. And so, therefore, I think that there are some things that we need to begin to do to take charge of our destiny.
Joy comes when you're spontaneous. It's really hard to be truly happy when you're not being yourself. And most of us have no clue who we are. And so a big part of my work, if you've ever been to an event, you know, is to get people to do things spontaneously without thinking, because that's when the real you shows up. That's when the energy comes alive. And when you do that, when you start to connect to your true nature, suddenly there's energy available for you to set a higher standard for what you want in your life. That's what this is really all about. And when I talk about standards, when I talk about, shoulds versus musts, think about your own life. I know there have been areas in your life where some point in time you just shifted and you raised the standard and your life changed. Because whatever people have their identity attached to, they live. We live who we believe we are. That's just how it works. It's just kind of like, I'll give you an example. Look at your physical body. Your physical body today is an absolute reflection of only one thing, not your goals, not your desires, but your standards. The identity you have for yourself. If your standard is you're an athlete, then there's a certain amount of strength, a muscle tone, and energy that's available in your body on a regular basis because that's who you are. And so you do whatever's necessary to maintain that identity. Again, the strongest force in the human personality is this need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves.
So think about this idea. What does it take to be in charge of your destiny? Well, you got to begin to develop some skills, and you got to ask yourself a question. What do you have going for you? What is it that you have going for you right now that's a real plus for you? What is it that you have going against you? What kind of training do you require? What is it that you need to learn? See, you make money only one of three ways in an economy of this nature. You have to have a skill, like I've developed the skill to become a speaker, or have some specialized knowledge, or have a particular product or service that you can provide for the public.
The two controlling forces have directed your life and kept you at times from taking action. And those forces, again, are the twin forces of pain and pleasure. Remember, everything we do in life, we do out of our need to avoid pain or a desire to gain pleasure.
As you begin to look at life, as you begin to look at the things you want to do, decide that you're going to become the active force in your life. Decide that you're not going to go through life feeling like a victim. Decide that when things become challenging, and they are, that you're not going to personalize it, that you're going to look at it, and you do whatever you must do in order to work things out and learn from it. Learn from it. That's the key. I like what Charles Udall said. He says, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. If you've lost your job, don't say that I've been laid off. Just say I've been given an opportunity by the universe to find my life work. So as you view all of the things that happen to you as an opportunity, now you're taking it from a different perspective. Now you become an active force in your life. Now you are the one, rather than running from things as they begin to change, you become a change driver because you know that you've got the power within you to make the difference. This force, this power, this energy that you have, that's more powerful than anything that can ever happen to you. You're more powerful than your circumstances or anything that you can experience right now. Decide that you're going to commit yourself to act on your ideas, to become happy. Commit yourself to live your dream. Commit yourself to become the architect of your future. There's something that I heard
that Goethe wrote that I love very much. And it really, as you begin to operate out of this consciousness, you begin to experience a different level of living in terms of commitment. He says, until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. See, until you are willing to jump out there. Somebody asked me, how do I do that? I said, no. You don't need any answers now. You need to make the commitment. Once you make a commitment, then life will give you some answers.
So what is it though? Why do we procrastinate? Why do we not use our power, which is what we talked about in the first tape? Let's figure out what stops us. The reason is when we procrastinate, it's because we think that taking action, whatever action we're putting off, that taking that action would be more painful than doing nothing or not taking action. That's the bottom line. In other words, by not taking action, we experience less pain than taking action.
Guess what I had to do at age 25 in order to change my own future? I had to change my mind. I had to change my thinking. I had to change my philosophy. I was messed up on what was causing my problem. And once I got that straightened out, that all the stuff I blamed, government and taxes, the marketplace and the economy, and things cost too much, negative relatives, cynical neighbors, once I got rid of that and started going for where the real problem was, which was me, I'm telling you, my life exploded into change. My bank account changed immediately. My income changed immediately. My whole life took on a whole new look and color immediately. And the early results I got from making these philosophical changes tasted so good, I've never stopped the process from that day. And I'm telling you, with a little consideration of the refinement of your sail, by setting a better sail, refining your philosophy, your whole life can start to change from today on. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to wait till next month. You don't have to wait till spring. You don't have to wait till 93. You can start this whole process immediately. I recommend it. Now, some people do so little thinking, they don't even have their sail up. I mean, you can imagine where they're going to wind up at the end of this week, at the end of this month, at the end of this year. Now's the chance to change, process all this information. So number one is philosophy. Okay. And we dealt with all that, where we get ideas, personal experience, from other people's experiences. I don't want to get into all those details because we covered that the last time I was here. But philosophy, that's number one.
What is procrastination? It's the opposite of using your personal power. It's being immobilized. It's needing to do something and not following through. I call it the silent killer because it grows on you. It just kind of creeps along until pretty soon it's taking control of your life. Pretty soon you find yourself immobilized in a bunch of areas and you don't even realize it. You don't even notice all the freedom you've given up just because of procrastination.
I think it's the loneliest thing in the world to have people around you, but you can't really touch them and connect with them for who you really are because you just keep trying to give them who you think you're supposed to be. That's a lonely place. You think this message is just for single people? It's not. You think I'm talking about people who don't have followers on Instagram? I'm not. I think we all have spots. I used to not think that. I used to think certain people didn't. I used to be embarrassed because I thought I was the weird one. I think we all have insecurities. We don't wear them on the outside, so sometimes even the people who love us can't see what we really wrestle with.
Pain is not your enemy, pain is your servant. And pain is telling you that there's a problem here and you need to get it fixed. You need to drag it out of the dark and you need to deal with this, and you have to decide enough is enough. It's time for a new direction. It's time to say that's it. Turn to somebody and say that's it. Passivity is a spirit and it'll kill you. It'll kill your relationships. It'll kill your home. It'll kill your marriage. If we just sit back and do nothing, it'll kill you.
You're going to have to move ahead in spite of your fear. All right? I've said many times that every major decision in Saddleback's 42-year history that I had to make, I was scared to death to do it. I just did it anyway because I was not going to let fear dominate me. We're going to do the right thing. Never let fear stop you. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving ahead in spite of your fear. If you're not afraid, you don't need courage. You only have courage when you're scared to death and you do it anyway.
This is the truth, is that so many of us say that we want to change, but many of us are unwilling to pay the price to change. And really, all of change comes from not focusing on what you can't control. It comes from focusing on what you can control. All of change has a price tag attached to it. That today, each and every one of us, we have to count the cost. Do we actually want to change? Are we willing to pay the price for change?
Stop expecting out of people what only God can give. This is why we get depressed. We keep waiting on people to complete us. If you wait on somebody to complete you, you are going to be in a constant state of suspension, LJ. They can help you. God can use people to bless you, but quit putting demands on people that are unreasonable.
Here's the truth. Change happens in a moment. It's results that require time. I just think there's so many people that are living today, especially in 2021, and we spend more time on our excuses than we do on execution. We're just full of excuses, just full of reasons as to why we can't start now. Oh man, I'm gonna start tomorrow. Some of you started the fast, and because you failed 3 days in, you just gave up on the rest of the 18 days. No. Start today, begin again. You're failing in realizing that the most valuable thing that you have is today.
More and more people seem to be losing control of their lives, enslaved with habits that are robbing them of joy, robbing them of peace. They need healing of fear, healing of resentment and anger. The moment that you reach into the darkness and stop hiding your issues and you pull them out into the light, healing begins.
Why would you ever choose to fight time when you could have time on your side? Who wouldn't want to harness the great river of time that flows through all of life? Why wouldn't you want to use the power of time to generate power in every area of your existence, to turn the turbines of your hopes and dreams, to charge your every aspiration with lightning bolts of electricity? Well, there is only one way to make time work for you, not against you, and that's with patience.
I wonder for us, has never enough become our normal? Like, I'm not talking about last week or the week before that, and I'm not talking about bank account. I think the spirit of this age is the spirit of never enough. We can never get enough information. We can never get enough what we call connection. So now we call ourselves connected in the world because we have social media. See, to us now, it's just completely normal for us to be overloaded all the time and just to have access to everything that's happening in the world. And then we wonder, why are we so fearful? Why can't we feel? It's because we were never intended to carry so much in our minds and in our hearts. But to us, it's just normal. Many of us are used to never really getting a good night's sleep. It's just normal.
You need to make a plan. If you're going to build a better future, you got to have a plan for your life. You have to have a life plan. You need to write down a simple plan and get started on building a better future. Now, it's not going to happen without a plan. If you don't have a plan for a better future in your life, you're just going to coast. And you can't coast into a better you. You can't drift into a better future. It takes intention and it takes planning. Now, I'm sure you've heard the old cliche, if you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. Now, that may be a cliche, but you know what? It's still true. Nothing's going to happen in your life till you first get dissatisfied with what you're doing, take a good look at what's going on inside your soul, and then you come up with a simple plan.
I would encourage you to be a transformational person. You see, transformational people, they inspire others in such a way that they positively bring change into people's lives. To be a transformational person, you have to first be transformed. So I would encourage you, make the changes necessary in your life that make you a better person. What I've discovered is that most incredible positive change happens when we begin to embrace good values. You have to kind of leave something to go to something, and what I encourage people all the time is leave the bad habits to go to the good habits and leave the bad values and go to the good values. That's where you begin to see the change, the transformation take place. Here's what I do know. The moment that you see the change happen inwardly, it begins to positively affect the behavior outwardly. When that happens, you become contagious.
You got to focus on your strengths. When you're hungry to win, you spend your time and your energy being a warrior, not a worrier. No, you don't expend time worrying because you want to get in a fight mode. And when you have something that you want to do, when life has knocked you down and slapped you around, in order for you to get back up, you got to be hungry to win. I was determined to become successful in this area. Why, Les? Because I was hungry to take care of my mother. And so when you're hungry to win, you realize this. Number one, you go all out. That's what it takes now to make it now. In order to win, in order to create a different life for yourself, you got to be hungry.
Men are hunters. What we enjoy is the chase of the hunt. Now, after we capture you, we're okay with that. We're okay with that. But after day one, you're not captured. We still hunting for you. If you break down after day one and you're not in a serious relationship right now, I want you to start thinking about the pattern. If you break down too quick on the guy, what is it? What does he have? What does he have? See, you may not like what I'm about to tell you, but men are aesthetic. We're just aesthetic creatures. I love it when my wife gets jazzed up. I love it. Now, if I come home 15 nights in a row, which I do come home very late, and she's already in her favorite little gray sweat outfit, and that's all I'm seeing for 15 days, you know, I say something to my wife. I said, baby, we need to get up in the morning, have breakfast together, go somewhere, do something. But I tell her that, and she ain't got no problem. Okay, what you want to do? Because every now and then, I want to see who I ask to marry me. I don't want to come out here and bust my ass, and I don't get to see this person no more. No, what the happened to who I married? What I'm out here working for, I'm busting my ass. She's the same person, but still, you can be cute for you. That's cool. But your man also needs you to be cute for him. But let me ask you something. You have something you require of your man too. And you want it from him whether he feel like it or not now. If you want your man to be a certain way for you, he got to be that for you, don't he? If he don't, you're going to have a problem with him. Whatever it is, whether you want to see him dressed up every now and then, or you want to see him come home at a decent hour, or you want to see him be a better provider, whatever it is you want from him. You want him to treat your kids better, whatever it is you want. He got to do it now.
I should love myself. I can love myself, and so can you. I'm not different. I'm not special, but I am deserving of love. And if you can see that, you too deserve to be yourself and be happy today, you too could be happy in your relationships. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've been through, where you come from. You can decide today to take action and start loving your true self and embracing it. Because then you'll be free to love unconditionally. You'll gain the ability to gift that power to others and change every single person in your life. There would be no problem that's too big or too hard to solve. No struggle too difficult to overcome. No crisis too overwhelming not to band together and prevail. No person too broken that cannot be mended. Change, real change, simply starts with you.
I know.
True love. True love.
You outsource most of your sanity because it's too complicated. And so what you do is your parents raise you to be vaguely acceptable to other people. And then you're surrounded by other people your whole life. And then every time you go off the rails a little bit, even just a little bit, people signal to you. Like you make a joke, it's not that funny and people don't laugh. And you think, oh, well, you know, I should probably rethink my sense of humor a little bit or pay more attention. Or you tell a rambling story and you notice that everyone's like lost in the distance. And
Right.
so if you're civilized enough so that people don't shun you and you have people around you, then they're going to be always telling you how to not be too insane. Well, if you're alone, you drift.
Right.
You drift, you know, and you'll drift in the direction of your biggest weakness. And so, you know, there are some people, maybe they're introverted and disagreeable. They're not cut out for a lot of social contact. But we're social animals, man, right to the core.
Sure.
And it's a suboptimal solution for the vast majority of people. I think that people are having a harder time finding, like, let's call them more permanent relationships, is because it's become increasingly easy to have fleeting, casual sexual relationships. I mean, Tinder is a revolution, right? It's a revolution in sexual behavior, and it's certainly not obvious that it's
Is it a social thing? Is it just technology? Is this what people want to be doing? Because you think the
It's
fleeting,
easier.
yeah,
in some ways.
but the technology has enabled this fleeting sexual
Oh,
activity.
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And that's,
But-
we don't want to underestimate how radical a technology that is. That's especially for men.
I do feel that deep down that all these people, men and women alike, are always longing for something more meaningful.
Well, I think that that's generally the case. I mean, you know, part of the reason for a relationship is sexual contact, obviously. Well, that's you don't necessarily need a relationship for that. But that's not the reason to be with someone. The reason to be with someone, when there's a lot of them. So one is, well, kids who have two parents do far better, period. The data on that is crystal clear. Doesn't mean that there aren't many single parents who struggle to do a wonderful job.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing. It's an average issue. So you need, plus, it's a lot of work to have kids. You know, you kind of need to divide up the labor, especially in the first year or two, you know, because the woman is completely overwhelmed in the first year and she needs somebody around to take care of her while she's taking care of the kid, fundamentally, or at least that's the way it looks to me. So there's that. You need the stable basis for children, and it takes them a long time to mature, and they need to learn that relationships are trustworthy, right? So there's utility and stability there. But then also, you kind of want to tangle your life together with someone, you know, because you have someone to, well, it's like two ropes that are tangled together. It's stronger, especially during times of weakness. And you have two brains instead of one, and that actually turns out to be really helpful when things are complicated. And it builds a solidity into your life and a reality into your life to have someone who's along with you on this very long voyage. And so I think that deepens your life in a way that isn't really possible with fragmentary relationships as a single person.
Definitely.
And then there's more to it than that. It's like, I think of wrestling. There's this scene in the Old Testament where Jacob wrestles with an angel. He's wrestling with God, actually, which is quite an interesting, that's what Israel means, right? Wrestling with God. Yeah, that just blew me away when I learned it. It's so
Is that true?
The true people of
Hebrew?
Israel are those who wrestle with God.
Wrestle
Yeah,
with
it's
God.
not believe exactly. It's a whole different thing, man. It's a whole different thing. And
Isn't
so,
it like fear from God? What it means? That's what I thought.
well, it did from the work I did in the last couple of months looking at this, and I looked into it quite deeply. It does mean wrestling, essentially, and it does derive from that scene in the Old Testament where Jacob wrestles with God. That's when he gets the name Israel. And his hip is dislocated, right? Permanently. He has a permanent limp after that. It's no joke. But I think of marriage the same way. Like, people think, well, they lived happily ever after. It's like, that's not what you want in a marriage. You want someone to contend with, you know, because you learn through that wrestling, you know, like you learn where you're an idiot and where you should stop being. and vice versa. So that's the spiritual aspect of marriage. It's the fact that you have to contend with someone under all sorts of circumstances. Theoretically, is what would you say? It's a manner of promoting psychological, or you could say spiritual growth, and it's genuine. You know, that's why marriage is a sacrament in most human communities, right? It's stamped both by the state and by the sacred authorities, because it's not just a physiological union. That's what animals do. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with the physiological union, but it has to be placed in the context of everything else a human being is. And I do think it's dreadful for people not to have that. And
do you think it's become harder for people to have meaningful, lasting relationships, or has it always been this hard? I feel like I thank God that I'm not dating now, because I feel like it seems like it's miserable out there right now.
Well, it's
to
hard.
Try to meet people.
It is hard although, you know, it's easier to meet people because there's more ways of meeting them.
Right.
But the ways of meeting them are more shallow. In my clinical practice, I would say that the rise of the internet dating option has actually overall been good for people who are looking for a partner.